Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the 42nd episode of the Blacks in Technology audio podcast. I am your tech ambassador for this afternoon, Greg Greenlee, along with my co-host, the amazing Ayure Selassie. You can visit us at blacksintechnology.net and also visit our blog at bitdigest.net. That's bitdigest.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Black in Technology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. We also have a Facebook page, Blacks in Technology, and a LinkedIn page as well. So you can just go to LinkedIn, type in Blacks in Technology as a group, and you'll be able to find us there. We're going to go over a few housekeeping stats. Blacks in Technology continues to see progress as far as membership. So right now we're looking at over 1,022 members, registered Blacks in Technology members on our site. We're up over 2,600 Twitter followers, so that's good news. And also our LinkedIn member count, where we're about at 1,200 members. So I want to thank everybody for, definitely supporting Blacks in Technology and continue to support Blacks in Technology in the future.
That's really great, Greg, this time in here. So we had we reached 1,000 last month, wasn't it, for our member count?
Yes.
Great accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. If you're listening to this podcast, we definitely like you all to share it out with all your followers and your network. And if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag BitTechTalk. That's BITTECHTALK. Share this podcast out with your friends. We'll definitely be tracking the movement of how well the podcast is being received. If you have any questions or you want to hear something, a topic on the podcast, feel free to email us at contactus@blacksintechnology.net. Okay, so we're going to get into our show, our podcast. We have a wonderful guest, but first I want to talk about what Blacks in Technology is about, what our vision is, and we have a manifesto that we use, and it's to increase visibility, participation, and change the perception all through community, and that's for Blacks in Technology everywhere. This is not just nationally. This is globally what we're trying to accomplish here. And Blacks in Technology is stomping the divide by establishing a blueprint of world-class technical excellence and innovation by providing resources, guidance, and issuing a challenge to all our members to surpass the high mark and establish new standards of global innovation. So that's what Blacks in Technology is aiming for. That's what we're about as an organization, and what we'll continue to try to achieve.
Awesome. And we are able to do this by having these podcasts and the communication through our forums, and we want to use this as an opportunity to go ahead and introduce Xavier Williams, who is our guest for today. Xavier Williams is a senior vice president at AT&T Communications, and just to give a brief overview, since starting his career at one of the largest telecommunications in the world some 20 years ago, Xavier has worn several hats, from sales and product management to leading AT&T's team focusing on healthcare and education. He's a recent honoree of Diversity MBA Magazine's top 100 under 50 diverse leaders, and today he leads a team of customer-oriented employees and service management employees. So we want to welcome Xavier to the show.
Great. Thanks for the welcome, and just really looking forward to spending a little bit of time with y'all today.
Excellent. Thanks. We're definitely happy to have you here on the show this afternoon. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Xavier.
Sure. First, and I should say this, congratulations on your forum, now over 1,000 members. The work that you're doing is essential, so I just want to first congratulate you on what you're doing and just wish you continued success.
Thank you.
As for me, I grew up in inner city kid, grew up in Washington, D.C., grew up playing basketball, never thought I would be doing anything like this related to technology, but had been very fortunate to have two parents that pushed me in a direction to ensure that I had a solid foundation from an educational standpoint, and was very fortunate to get an undergraduate degree from a school by the name of Edinburgh University in Northwest Pennsylvania. From there, went and got my MBA from the University of Pittsburgh. Started at AT&T 23 years ago with the full intention of this would be my first job. I would be here for about 2 years until I figured out what I wanted to do when I grow up. And now it's 23 years later, and I'm still here. So that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us a little bit about why you studied business and information systems, and what made you decide to go into that field?
Sure. So I mentioned I got my MBA from the University of Pittsburgh, and I studied finance and MIS, Management Information Systems, and think of late 80s, early 90s was the time frame that I was pursuing this degree. And what I found was that finance people didn't necessarily understand technology, and technology people didn't necessarily understand finance at that time. So the reason I decided to go in both of those fields was I thought that I could fill a niche and be that person that was the bridge between the finance group and the IT group, or said better, money and technology, and have been able to, in my estimation, exploit that over the last 20 or so years, and just try to make a difference in that manner. So that's why I chose those two areas to focus on.
Excellent, excellent. And what's your main objective in your role at AT&T?
Yeah, as Ayore mentioned, I currently lead what's called our service management organization. So AT&T, our enterprise business, so think of goods and services that we sell to other businesses. We have about 3 million enterprise customers today. I lead a group of professionals that are responsible for the customer interface around provisioning of service, maintaining of service, billing of service, et cetera, et cetera. And the main objective of my job is really to try to help clients have an optimal customer experience for all the different products and services that they could purchase from AT&T.
You know, that's really incredible. I think I want to just sort of pause right there to kind of highlight how huge that really is. I mean, we talk about technology a lot, and we get into the details of technology a lot, but being that you're from this large company, I mean, AT&T is the largest company, wireless carrier in the United States. And I mean, that's over $125 billion in revenue. So that's a lot of money, and a lot of our listeners are your customers. So if you're leading that effort to make sure that the customers are really getting the quality services that they need, that's actually really huge, the contribution that you're making to this company.
I mean, I think, well, it's my people that make a contribution, but I appreciate the sentiment. But I mean, for us, it's all about the customer experience. And you mentioned what we do from a mobility standpoint, from a wireless standpoint, and we are trying to just strive to get better every day with our network performance. If people have billing questions or whatever, we're just trying to figure out how to make the customer experience better, because people vote with their feet. And if we're not providing a great customer experience, they will go to a competitor.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I checked you out on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn for that purpose. Can you talk to us a little bit about your career progression and how you came up through AT&T? Can you you've been a career, AT&Ter.
I have, and I mentioned my original intent wasn't to be at the company this long, but I really, being a naive young person, I didn't know all the different things that the company offered when I actually joined it. So our company has evolved over the years, but one of the things that, especially a technology-based company, it's always reshaping what it does. So when I started with AT&T, the primary revenue was long-distance telephone service was the primary revenue driver, where today, the primary, you just mentioned, our primary driver is mobility revenue. But during that time, I've been able to have jobs in, finance. I've had jobs in sales. I've had jobs in product management. I've had jobs in human resources. I've had jobs in all different aspects of the business. And what I've tried to do, simply said, and I had a friend explain this to me when I was much younger, he said, if you know how to count it, if you know how to build it, if you know how to sell it, and you know how to maintain it, one day you'll be able to run your own business. And that's what I've always tried to build off of, that progression of wanting to be able to see all different aspects of a business. So when and if I get the opportunity to quote unquote run it, I will have had exposure to all the different aspects of a business, and especially from a technology standpoint.
That's excellent. That's an excellent segue actually into my next question, because one of the things that comes up quite a bit on the Blacks in Technology website is our member base talking about lack of mentorship.
Okay.
Within technology, within the Black community. So I want to ask you, did you have mentors? And can you talk to us about how others contributed to developing you for success?
Oh, sure. So absolutely, I not only had mentors, I have mentors. And let me be clear on something. Just because we are in technology, don't always look for other folks in technology to mentor you, because there are a lot of different individuals that you can learn stuff from. So it's not to say you're not going to need somebody who understands technology, but understand from a mentoring standpoint, you need people who are going to help develop you holistically. So that's first and foremost. Greg, as I mentioned, I always have had mentors and people that have pushed me and willing to pull me aside. What's the old adage? Pull my coattails when I've needed it. And the one thing that I would say that I learned earlier in life and early in my career, mentors choose you as much as you choose mentors. And by that, I mean, if you have a mentor-mentee relationship, the mentor is really pouring the most valuable thing that they have, time and knowledge, into you. And you're not going to be able to pull it out of them. They have to be willing to provide it to you and be willing to do that. So I could go down the list of people that have helped me. It'd probably take longer than this podcast. But over the years, what people have always done for me is sat me down, explained to me where I am in my career and how I could get better, and always made the point, it's a choice. It's a choice. If you want to attain certain things, here's the work that you're going to have to put in. Part and parcel with the work that you're going to have to put in, there's this aspect called networking that you're going to have to put time into. Part and parcel with that, there are always going to be opportunities for you to grow and give back, and those opportunities might be just as important as you taking in information from other individuals. From a developing success standpoint that you mentioned, I mentioned one example about the count it, build it, sell it, maintain it idea. Another simple idea that a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, gave to me early on was make sure that you have foundational skills and you have what he called eating skills. Make sure that you have a skill that is your foundation that you can always fall back on. And then once you have that foundation built, you could go and try other stuff. because if you quote unquote fail, you could always fall back to your foundation. Another important idea, and in fact we were talking about this yesterday in a session with some folks, it was don't be scared to fail. And it's the old adage, fail fast and learn. Fail fast and learn. And that's one of the things in our community. A lot of times we're so nervous about failing, we don't take enough risk and allow ourselves to stretch ourselves. So those are just some of the learnings that I've had over the years from mentors. And I hope those types of lessons don't stop. I'm still trying to find people to learn from.
Yeah, that's incredible. I appreciate that, especially that portion about failing fast and stretching yourself, because those experiences that we have really help us to grow. If we are always trying to be perfect at everything, that basically means that we're not trying things that are hard enough.
Absolutely. All of us in technology, if you're not failing, you ain't innovating. You are not innovating if you're not failing from a technology standpoint, because there has to be trial and error in what we do.
I love that. So another thing we talk about, so touching on the mentor topic, is we've been recently sort of separating this concept of mentors and sponsors, where a sponsor is someone who may sort of pull you along in your career, whereas a mentor may provide sort of direct coaching and support to you where you are currently right now and where you might want to be. So can you talk to us a little bit about sponsorship and if you had sponsors and what's your opinion on that topic?
Yeah, sure. And that's great that y'all are making that distinction, because it's real important where you know your mentors. You might not even know who your sponsors are. A lot of times your sponsors are those individuals that are, and I say this in a positive way, talking behind your back, promoting you behind your back, and trying to make sure that you are advancing, that you're getting the opportunities that you've earned and that should be afforded to you. And the thing with sponsorship, it really is about, those are the individuals that will pick up the phone, send someone an email on your behalf. I heard y'all mention LinkedIn earlier. That's one of the main venues from a social networking or social business networking standpoint where you're starting to see more sponsorship, because you might be developing a what I'll call a social relationship. It might not even be a direct relationship, but it affords an opportunity for sponsorship. So this is a very important concept that not only do we need to understand, but we need to embrace, because many people have advanced their career because of sponsorship as much as mentorship. And again, it might be individuals that you don't even know, but they're quietly watching you and watching your development.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It really is huge. And I think you pointed out that sometimes you may not even, know who your sponsors are, but they talk behind your back, and I've definitely experienced that. And I would, just point out for folks who, here's someone talking about you, saying positive things about you, follow up with that person and just reach out and say, hey, thanks for putting in a good word for me, and continue to build that relationship when you notice that happening. Take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
So AT&T strategy with regard to internet and Wi-Fi, you guys are the largest Wi-Fi network in the country right now, and you guys have a really large coverage in terms of Wi-Fi globally. I think I've read a stat that you have over 400,000 hotspots globally through your different roaming and networking agreements. So Mark Zuckerberg recently launched this concept called Internet.org, and it's a vision to get the rest of the 6 billion people all over the world on the Internet. And I'm wondering, can you talk a little bit about what you think might be required in order to achieve such a big task, and who some of the key players will be in enabling everyone in the world to have access to the Internet?
Sure. I mean, first of all, that's a huge vision he has, and I applaud him for, really taking that on and trying to figure that out. You mentioned some of the players. It's going to involve a very large ecosystem. So, if you think about Zuckerberg, you obviously think about Facebook, but, a lot of his competitors are going to have to engage, be it Google, be it Microsoft. They're going to have to be engaged in this. You got to think about all the, and I assume if he really wants to hit the world, we're going to have to really leverage mobility and wireless, as you were saying, from a Wi-Fi standpoint. So all the mobility equipment providers are going to need to be engaged. The actual mobile service providers will need to be engaged. But I think the big one, from my vantage point, that he's going to need to really work with is governments, because the governments of these all the different parts around the world are going to have to be engaged. So he is going to have to set up a very large ecosystem and ensure that people they're not going to agree with everything, but they're going to need to be in lockstep, because you got to think about, you're going to a certain extent, have to have common standards across different lands and different countries, et cetera, and make sure that, once people are able to plug in, once people are able to connect, how are they going to leverage this? And it just doesn't, for lack of a better term, go by the wayside. So based on what Zuckerberg has been able to achieve with Facebook, I wouldn't bet against him, but it's going to be a tough task to pull all this together.
Yeah, that's really exciting. When I saw that that Internet.org pop up in the Twitterverse, I immediately got super excited, and I was like, I want to know who else is talking about this and where's it going. So I was in the Middle East and Africa earlier this year, and whether it's Jordan, Israel, Palestine, or Ethiopia, or Kenya, people were on their mobile devices, and they had 3G, they had 4G, they had Wi-Fi everywhere. And I was shocked, because I didn't realize that people were on the Internet that much in these developing countries. And so I see that the potential in actually in enabling that, and I think it's important for people to, when they're thinking about that they realize that the Internet for the rest of the world is not going to be what the Internet is for us today here, and that there's going to be some innovation there and changing of ideas of how people access the devices they use, and agreements, and how the government is involved.
Absolutely, and we use a term here at AT&T. We don't just call it the Internet; we call it the mobile Internet. You talked about how mobile devices, smart devices, be it phones, be it tablets, they have totally changed the dynamic of how people work, live, and play. It has totally changed the dynamic. So I'm excited by the opportunity also.
Yeah, things are definitely going to change too, especially with wearables being more of a thing now. You got Google Glass, you got the smartwatches. You actually have some things that I've seen online at TechCrunch as far as actual clothing that gives you, that provides you with information about your health, things like that. That's going to be a huge key in this whole thing as well. Absolutely. It's going to help. And I previous job I did healthcare within AT&T. It's going to change the way people have medicine administered. It's going to change the way that you support individuals. So, like as an example, my parents are in the Washington, D.C. area. We now have what they call smart slippers. So there's a wireless device in slippers. So at 8 o'clock every morning, my dad gets up. Literally, when he gets up and he puts his foot in his shoe, I could get a text message so I know he got up in the morning. They have wireless devices in tablet bottles. So again, at 8 o'clock he gets up. At 8:05 he should be taking his medicine. So if he hasn't twisted the cap by 8:05, I don't get the text message. Maybe I need to call him and remind him that he needs to take his medicine. It's all those little things that we might take for granted today. It's really going to change the way we do things going forward. And I should say has already started. And that's go ahead. Go ahead, Ari.
Just throw that in there. for folks who are listening, what Xavier is talking about is the Internet of Things. So if you want to learn more about stuff like that, just do a quick Google on the Internet of Things and see what pops up.
Yes, and that really goes into well with this as far as this next question, because seeing all these innovations coming about, wearables and things like that, there is a need for more minorities to be included in this tech discussion, so that we can actually begin innovating and creating some of these things. I know that there's health concerns that are specific to the black culture that maybe that we can help create and innovate some ideas around. So when we talk about that, we talk about tech inclusion. What's missing from the tech inclusion dialogue?
Oh, wow. So I'm fortunate. I'm in an organization called the Executive Leadership Council, the ELC, and it's run by a guy by the name of Ron Parker. And Ron, for the organization, has this saying. He says, "What's black about it? What's black about it?" Because he's making the point that over the years, African Americans, black folks have really innovated many areas, be it music, be it sports, and now he's asking the question, is what you asking, Greg, what does that mean from a technology standpoint? Because once we get our hands on something, it's amazing how we can innovate. Building back to what Ayora just said, this Internet of Things, and I mentioned the mobile Internet. The mobile Internet, and if y'all remember back in, I would say the 90s, there was the concept about the digital divide, that a lot of folks in the black community, and I would just say poor communities, didn't have access to technology, didn't have access to the Internet. The mobile Internet has torn down the digital divide. So the point made earlier, if you have a smart device, you have access to the Internet. And now what you're asking about what's missing from the dialogue, what's missing from tech inclusion, it's now that folks have access to information. What now? What are they going to do with it? And that's why I really applaud what y'all are trying to do here, is create a platform so people can start innovating, because they do have access to technology, they have access to information, they can leverage the mobile Internet, et cetera, et cetera. So, Greg, to be honest with you, I don't know what's missing, but I know smart people like you, y'all will figure it out. I'm not the technology guy to figure it out, but we at AT&T, we're trying to make sure people are armed with the appropriate tools so they can innovate, and for me, make it what's black about it, what's black about it, so they can innovate from that vantage point.
That's wonderful. I had some conversations. I work with BIT, and I work with a couple of organizations as well that are focused around, just the inclusion piece, especially for African American people. And one thing is that I think we kind of need to rate ourselves, a little toughly, right? We got to say, what is it we're talking about doing? What have we done? And how can we do this better?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really important for us to be more connected in terms of the other organizations that are out there that are doing this thing, and try and start to formulate some strategies around how we can really have long-term gains and really bring in the big wins and push this to the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking to a person like you, I know you have, a large network, and you're the kind of person who I look up to learn from. What can we do better? So I'm wondering, can you talk a little bit about the unique value that a person like you brings to this here discussion of technology inclusion?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the compliment, very much so. For me, the biggest thing I try to do is focus on, and our company does it, focus on education and getting to young folks, talking to them about STEM, talking to them about science, technology, engineering, math. I myself, I was talented in math, but in our community, no one's fault when I say this. What I knew was business. So I majored in business. I didn't think to major in engineering. I didn't think to major in math, because when I was coming up, it was like, well, what do you do with that degree? If I get a business degree, I could get a job and go work in business. So, I mean, for me, I try to give back and make sure I'm especially doing things with younger folks and make sure that they understand and embrace and don't run from technology, and know that there are jobs and opportunities that will be created, and they will be able to create jobs and opportunity if they embrace technology, and it's going to be a way of life for them. So it's how do you make sure that they're comfortable with this? Now, Ayure, what you're challenging me with is the other thing I got to do is make sure that people around me are doing the same things. I mean, from a value add standpoint, I can't let my peers and people my age, I don't think of myself as old, but I'll say I'm older than y'all. I need to make sure they stay engaged and give back, because many people have been very fortunate in this technology space that can make sure that you do better than us, the folks after you do better than you, et cetera, that, to your point, we make something that's going to perpetuate and continue to grow the community and invest back in the community and make sure that, people do embrace technology and understand how that's going to not only be, but continue to be a big driver in our economy, not only in the United States, but globally. So it's those types of things that I think I could help try to add value around.
So I'm hearing you say that, your role is really to inspire those folks in your peer group to do more so that we can continue to grow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I would just say, besides inspire, I need to push. It's not just the, hey, do what I do by looking at me. It's the, and we, I think I'm going to put words in your mouth. We need to have more accountability. And part of accountability is, the only word I could think of is calling each other out, but I say that in a very positive manner. That a lot of times that has negative connotations, but calling each other out and saying, hey, what are you doing? Because you have something to offer. So we do need to hold each other accountable. Yes,
yeah. That's key to collaboration. I mean, that's why Greg and I work so well together. I work really well with other folks, in my network, because we are honest with each other, and we know that it is with a vision in mind.
Yep.
So for organizations like us and people like us who are, really inspired and motivated to make change with this technology inclusion thing and push this forward, how can we better leverage you and what you have to offer?
Oh, wow. I mean, you have to answer that for me. The best thing I could do is make myself accessible, which I will do. The best thing I could do is I will extend, if I have a network or I could help you in some way, I will do that. If I could help you be as a mentor, I will do that. If I could help you as a sponsor, I will do that. So you have my commitment to help out any way that I can. So from a leverage standpoint, reach out to me. Let me know how I can help you. But the big thing, I'm just going to be blunt with you, I want to make sure you've tried to help yourself first. And that's one of the things, when you talk about sponsorship, when you talk about mentorship, most mentors, most sponsors, they want to see people, and you two are great examples, that already have the passion, they already have the drive, And even more importantly, and I sense this from just meeting both of you, this is not about personal ambition. This is about something bigger. This is about something bigger than that. And not just me. Those are the people that other people want to help. Those are the people want to help, because to a certain extent, I'm trying to ride on your coattails. So I might, quote unquote, help you, but I'm trying to ride on your coattails as you continue to grow and prosper and do the things that y'all set out to do with this platform that you've created.
Wow. That's incredible.
I definitely want to, just add into that not only do we, appreciate you coming on the show, but you're definitely helping us and doing your part as well, just being visible. And we always talk about tackling that issue of perception and conquering, that the lack of visibility that we have in this space, and just you being present on this podcast and giving us, words of wisdom and things like that. It's monumental, and it helps our cause, and it forwards our cause as well.
Oh, good. I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity just to speak with y'all.
So is there anything, before we jump off this podcast, is there anything else you would like to share with us, advice for our listeners, advice for us to meet the goals of our mission?
I'm not a person to give advice. I'll give you an opinion. Keep the conversation going. Y'all have struck on something. Keep the conversation going. Good things will happen if you keep talking about it. And as you continue to grow, as you continue to bring in more members, don't always look for the right answer or the correct answer. Go in trying to seek what the right question is to ask. The answer will become apparent. You want to make sure that you're really trying to frame the question correctly, as opposed to always trying to jump to the answer, because the answer may be multifaceted, but the question should be straightforward. So as you're keeping this conversation going, as you continue to invest and what you're doing with blacks in technology, continue to grow, I would just encourage you to keep the focus. If myself or if there's someone in my network that could help you, please reach out. Please reach out, and I just wish y'all the best of luck, because as I started, y'all have tapped on to something, and I just want to encourage you to keep it going.
We definitely appreciate that. And that is advice. That's great advice. And we definitely appreciate it.
Sure.
Any closing words from you, Ayuri, before we jump up?
Closing. Well, one, I just want to thank you again, Xavier, for giving us your time. I'm really excited to be sharing this with all of our listeners. And I encourage folks to really, take it to heart, because this was an honest conversation. This is as honest as it gets. So looking forward to our listeners reaching out. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we can continue this conversation, what other questions we should be asking, and how we can just continue to make a difference. And thanks again, Xavier, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time. Anytime you want to come back on the show, the door is always open. This was a great conversation. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot more to say and a lot more to talk about. And so if you ever want to join us again, feel free to shoot us an email.
I will do that.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Xavier, and you have a nice day.
Hey, you have a great day. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
All right, Greg, that was incredible. I'm fired up. Very, very inspirational.
Very inspirational. A lot of good. Just the tidbits of. I love quotes. I love one-liners and things that he would say. A lot of stuff just hit home. Like, what's black about it? For instance, or you need to frame the question correctly because the answer may be multifaceted, but the question has to be straightforward. Things like that is what makes having these types, having these podcasts, well worth it. So that was some great tidbits of information from Xavier, and provided some great insights as far as what AT&T is doing, his pathway to and progression to success in his field. So overall, it was a great podcast.
Fantastic. And I want to give an update for the last podcast we did where we talked about the Google Site Reliability Engineering. The blog post has been posted with some notes from that session, including a nice mind map that includes some really good information around site reliability engineering principles, what they are, and some really good things I think folks out there might be able to leverage if you're interested in that topic. So check out the blog on bitdigest.net.
Excellent. So our next podcast, what are we going to talk about? Give people a preview of what's next.
So this has been a really good, exciting year for conferences. So I think it's time for us to pick up that conference conversation. I know you are going to some really exciting conferences, and I've been to a few. So I think that should be our next topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think, from the last podcast, that's actually what this podcast is going to be about. But the Xavier podcast kind of fell into our lap, luckily, because it was a great podcast. He was a great guest. So we're just going to go ahead and, next podcast, we're going to have the conference conversation, the con. Can we call it the con? I'll call it the con. The conversation about conferences.
So what's coming up? Which ones are you going to?
I'm going to be attending DerbyCon this weekend. DerbyCon is a information security conference, aka Hackers Conference. A lot of great talks with some of the great minds in information security are going to be there. It's actually held in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's grown just over 3 years. It's only been in existence for 3 years, and it went from a few hundred from the first time I attended to a few thousand just in a couple of years. So it's one of the biggest InfoSec conferences now going on in the United States. So that should be pretty interesting. I went to it last year as well, year before. Always great conferences. Always great talks going on. A lot of great information. So I'll be going to that. Yep.
I'll be looking forward to pass down on that with the InfoSec stuff.
Yeah.
So I would also like to add in a sort of a review of TechCrunch Disrupt that I attended about 2 weeks ago. So that'll be fun. And then also I want to make sure we give some shout outs to some of our in-network conferences that are going to be going on. So Kai Jupe and Anjuan Simmons are going to be hosting their annual conference in Houston in Bitlow. So check it out. I believe it's in bitlow.com or .org. Not sure.
I want to say it's .com. Let me make the computer. So let's see. .org actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually the conference is actually ran by Andrew West, but Kai Dupuy is going to be a keynote speaker. Anjuan Simmons is going to be there as well, and he's going to be giving a talk. And I think they are holding a special event called Meet the Authors, and it's about, because each of them, well, at least I know Anjuan does. He has a new book out. It just came out recently, so they're going to be having a special event for that as well. So, yeah, definitely in Bitlow. That's nbitlo.org. You can check it out and check out the conference information. It's going to be, I think, in Houston, Texas, in October, late October.
How about our sisters in technology? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's going to be, it's the Women Interactive Creative Technology Festival going on in Atlanta, November. Let me get this date right. I don't want to mess it up. It's going to be the weekend of November 8th, 9th, and 10th at Spelman College. Ashia Sims is one of the organizers of the Women Interactive Creative and Technology Festival. You can check them out at womeninteractive.com. I want to make sure that's right. .com, is that right?
And you're going to be at that conference too, right?
Yeah. I'm going to have a table there, courtesy of the ladies at Women Interactive. They were nice enough to set me up with a table for Blacks in Technology. I'm actually on the board of curators, so participating is definitely a must for me. So I'll be there Saturday. I actually won't be there Friday. I'll be there Saturday at the interactive portion of the conference. Let me make sure I get that website right. It's terrible. I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's see if I can find it.
Interactive.net. I just found it.
Okay.
November 8th through 9th at Spelman College.
Got you. That's it.
Really nice, by the way. Folks, check it out.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, definitely shout out to those two. Should be great conferences. So if you can make it, if you're in the Houston area, if you're in the Atlanta area, definitely check them out. So I think that's, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this podcast up. Great podcast. Look forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Any closing words from you? Any parting words, Iori?
Folks, please make sure you support us through our social media channels. Share our tweets. And we have begun using a new hashtag, hashtag BitTechTalk. So anytime you use that hashtag, we will be tracking it and using it to support our campaigns in the future. So please tweet us and share this podcast with your network.
Excellent. And you heard straight from the amazing, awesome Iori Selassie. Thank you, Iori, and till next time.
All right, bye.
All right, take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.